Right, it's New Year's Eve and 2019. So I'm just doing the second in my series of readings from my father's book, and I'm doing this tonight because it is still 2019 and it's a centenary of two things. One is my grandfather becoming the secretary of the Tilmanston Mine Union, and the other is the formation of the Dover Labour Party. So this part of the book is about the formation of the Labour Party. The real breakthrough for the working people, however, came in 1918, at the end of the war, when Parliament extended the franchise. Men over 21 with certain qualifications and women over the age of 30 were given the right to vote. Most of the young men who had gone off to fight for their king and country and died on the battlefields of the Somme and at Ypres and at Passchendaele had never had the right to vote. They had played no part in the decision to make war. It was the rich and powerful who had decided their fate. The rulers, the rich and the powerful in Great Britain, Austria, Germany, France and Russia, were the people who decided whether there was to be war or peace. In 1918, the numbers on the electoral roll in this country increased over threefold and numbered some 21,370,316. And as Beatrice Webb notes in her diaries, the coming of the Labour Party as a political force has been largely occasioned by this year's extension of the franchise. Written June the 16th, 1918. At this time, the organisation and decision-making within the Labour Party was in the hands of a few influential people and controlled from the centre. The groups in charge were made up mostly of those representing national organisations, trade unions bosses and elite activists from the universities, who joined such organisations as the Fabians and the Social Democratic Party. There were few established local parties at this time, though a number of candidates stood on an individual basis and gained some local support. It was, however, a rare case for such a candidate to stand a chance of being elected without being supported by a major organisation. The lone exception was the young Victor Grayson at the by-election in Colne Valley in 1908. It was about this time that local groups of working class people began to express their views and seek to participate in the organisation of the party, to which they felt they belonged. At the end of the Great War, people joined in demonstrations. They were moved to action. Now they had the right to vote. It was in this situation that official constituency parties began to be established. And so in Dover, May 1919, we see the beginnings of the formation of the Dover Labour Party as it exists today. Such was recorded in a local party journal by Mrs. Florence Goodfellow. She writes, "It was a bitterly cold spring evening in May 1919 when 13 people gathered round the stove in the grubby hall over the cooperative stores. It was a momentous little meeting, for we were all ardent socialists met together to form the Dover Local Labour Party. Arthur Goodfellow was elected the first chairman and Jimmy Goulden the secretary. The chairman and secretary and other members set to work to form a divisional party, and one was soon started under the chairmanship of Billy Newman. Within a short space of time, under his chairmanship, there had been organised 10 local parties and 7 women's sections." Unquote. The efforts of all concerned were bearing fruit. The Dover Labour Party was on the move. William Newman, first chairman of the Dover Divisional Labour Party in 1919, held that position for some 10 years. The main objective of the Kent Miners' Workers' Association was clearly defined when in 1921 it included in its new rules the aim of securing the complete abolition of private capitalism. The combination of the two offices, the one as Secretary of Tilmanston Miners' Union and the other as Chairman of the Dover Divisional Labour Party, gave force to Billy's power and status. They provided a base for him to extend his influence and open doors whereby he might get to know people and gain information and help when needed. He was very much an activist. He believed in going out and meeting people as well as doing office work. He still earned his living as a working miner below ground. Carrying out the functions of such positions entailed a great deal of time and effort. During this time he was living at 14 Glenfield Road, Dover. This was his family home, the place where he lived during those crucial years from 1917 to 1927. As Secretary of the Union, the years from 1919 to 1925 were the most difficult years. The managers of the pit adopted a very aggressive attitude and were rarely willing to negotiate or listen with any degree of understanding to any concerns the men might have. He was fortunate to have the full support of his fellow committee members who stood by him during some difficult times. By his actions, Billy Newman gained respect and made some powerful friends. The early days of the Labour Party were both eventful and exciting. He was meeting many people of similar conviction who were keen to help and who became dedicated to the cause. They would meet in their spare time and go door knocking, talking to people, trying to evoke interest in the cause of the Labour Party. It was fertile ground, for this was something new to the district, and in response to the enthusiasm of the active workers, a great deal of support was found. This initial success was most encouraging. Billy was brought up in the hard school of politics. Like so many others, he started from nothing. He had nothing except his own beliefs, a dedication and determination, and a willingness to give of his time. It was a time of the hard politics of the street, provoking fierce debate and argument. It was a tough school of learning. All who took part had to ignore cheap ridicule and put up with hard insults. This was the nature of street politics conducted in largely tough working class areas. At one such meeting, organised on DLC Front, a rather hostile group gathered and threatened to throw Billy and his friends into the sea. Needless to say, since the police were present, the threats came to nothing, but the meeting closed early. At these open-air meetings, numbers of those attending demonstrated their interest by offering to support the party, and a number even applied to become paid-up members. The committee members were pleased with the progress being made in establishing the party as a going concern, and Mrs. Goodfellow reports in her article branches of the party were soon to be found in a number of villages across the constituency. To find out more, listen in to some other readings and buy the book. Thank you.